was good because I don't know where to start. Like, oh, welcome to issue 15 of Hobby Hammer.
And welcome to issue 15. We've done it. There you go, Miles. So, unbeknownst
What?
to Miles, I recorded him saying he
Oh
hated
no!
introducing the podcast, and that can be the introduction because you almost did that fake out of it. Welcome
There you go.
everyone. Issue 15, and today on the menu we're gonna have what the hell have we been doing in our Hobby Hammer sort of slow grow. And
Yes,
I've
it
actually
is
done
still going
some,
on.
yeah.
It's I've been doing stuff in the background. I've been traveling to Australia. I've been traveling. Not this sounds like such a humble brag, but it's because I've been traveling around the world teaching people how to paint. You know, what's your excuse? No, so last week I was in Spain with a family, relaxing. Thankfully, I had a great time, just screaming at my kids for 2 days, and then I got really nice and mellow as I drunk a lot more. And yes, but things have been going on in the background. Things have been ticking over, but we wanted to give more of a highlight and more of an emphasis on this challenge and just catch up on what we've been doing, and more importantly, talk about what the community's been doing as well.
Yeah, and there has been like a good amount of activity, I think, and the things that
Yeah.
we've been looking at on people's Discords and as well as Instagram on the hashtag,
Mm-hmm.
it actually really good progress, especially in a game system that's only been out a couple of months now.
And we have to remind ourselves, like, not all factions are out at this point either. So one of the guys on the Discord, he wants to collect high elves, but he just can't buy any. Really healthy progress from what models we are able to get our hands on.
Well, arguably, even if the faction has been released, you set me up for this one. You still can't get hold of the models, Miles, because as we should change this vodcast, whatever we're calling it, issue to being the up-to-date Games Workshop stock information. Because
Yeah.
you still can't get the goddamn
Still bad.
Bretonians from the initial release,
Mm-hmm.
which is just craziness.
So I ordered Indrid Ha to come on pre-release. It's kind of important that I get these materials in a good time, because then I make video tutorials off the back of them, and you just go through the promotion cycle of that. I've only just this week received one, and that was from a student in America who sent his entire World Eater armor to be painted for me. So I'm still waiting for it to come from the British stockist to get to me. Whereas a student in America, he was able to get one and send it over. Frustration. I'm sure other people. I mean, write in the comments below what frustrations you've had.
What you're currently having.
The stock is crazy. Like, why? This isn't like Joe down the street running something out of his garage. This is a multi-billion-pound company. Why can't they keep their stock levels at a reasonable level? What's the issue at this point?
Yeah, it's an issue that if it happens for a week, fair enough on a rare occasion. But then, like, to have it consistently be an issue.
Yeah, with a hiccup with the system, or they're moving, yeah, those things can be forgiven. But it's consistently at this point that I think they've more than garnered a reputation for unreliability in getting their own products to you at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet I've said this on the cast before, but someone put it to me like, well, if Kellogg's didn't, like, if Kellogg's wasn't able to put their cornflakes on a shelf,
yeah,
entire divisions of that company would be out of a job, fired.
Mm.
But anyway, before ragging on this too much, because this is a rabbit hole that we, as gamers, we like to complain, and this is a particular
and it's not particularly engaging thing to talk about, right? Two white middle-aged dudes complain about something great. How many podcasts exist in the world like that already?
Yeah.
Not enough. Not enough.
Not enough. One more on the pile. So, shall we? I actually, in a slightly sort of side topic to that, for the Hobby Hammer slow grow, my choice was actually inspired by a lack of stock information. So I'm going
to
veer that into that. So it was leading somewhere. We promise. Sure. It wasn't just coincidental. So because I couldn't get the battle standard bearer and questing knight hero, I have ended up painting some Pegasus Knights, which I started on the wings. I think I posted them before.
Yep.
last time, which is when I did like the fade from like a black to the, it was a
Mm.
bone, but it definitely looks, because of like how your eyes contrast it, and especially in pictures, it definitely looks white. But whenever I put
So
bone, do you know, I've tested it out on
yeah, you've been
palettes.
exploring underpainting a little bit with your Bretonians. Did you do it in this piece, or is it more like a straight up and down piece for you?
No, so I actually did it a bit more than I'd previously done on my
Mhm.
Knights of the Realm. So my
Mm.
Knights of the Realm, I'd been mixing the brown that I decided for the underpainting into
Mhm.
the, say like in this one that I'm holding up now, because I've
Mm.
just pulled one out because it was next to me.
Yep.
It initially I'd just been mixing it in and going from like a dark red that used the
Mhm.
brown to a light
Mm.
red on the top surfaces.
Mhm.
And on the Pegasus Knights, I decided, actually, what I should be doing, looking at examples like of your Free Corps Cavalier Marshal, whatever that guy's
Yep,
called.
that guy. Yeah, the
Behind,
AOS dude.
yeah, the AOS dude. I actually need to be starting from the actual brown. So on these, I went, I basically added a lot more brown and then glazed a brown on afterwards to
Yeah,
make sure it properly started
you
from that
know,
brown.
a student said something really interesting about this technique. So just as a brief overview of underpainting as a technique, instead of seeing the colors on the miniature, instead you try and imagine the scene around the miniature, and then you paint those tones onto the model before you begin anything. So it gives you more of like an ambient tone to everything
Mm.
you do. But a student who was explaining, okay, this technique has got me painting again, because instead of worrying about perfection, instead I'm playing with form and shape. And I thought that was a really interesting way to put it, that instead of looking for, I guess, to elevate the work in terms of perfection, instead you're working in general tones, you're working in generalized ambience, and then you're starting to play with the shapes that you see on the miniature. So I don't know whether you've had like a similar breakthrough or like a similar feeling when you're using this on your miniatures at all.
Yeah, so this was something that I actually wanted to, because I've been doing a very formulaic sort of,
Mm.
in heresy painting. I find it leads
Hmm.
very much to formulaic, where we're doing
Yep.
shades and doing like
It's the
glazing.
process you go
Yeah,
through
yeah,
in
the process.
heresy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Airbrush, metallics, oil.
yeah. That
It's a lot
exactly.
like French cooking, right? It's the process you go through.
Yeah, and I'd not done brush painting in ages. So then this
Mm.
project was, I wanted to do brush painting, learn some
Mm.
wet blending,
Mhm.
and also do it like, how do I tie these two separate themes of forces, like my chivalric
Mhm.
knights and downtrodden
Yeah.
peasants, how do I tie them together as an army? That's where we come with the underpainting.
Mhm.
And just all of that smashed together, I think has resulted quite well in that my wet blending isn't that great, but
Mhm.
doing the underpainting has allowed me, as you say, to focus on shapes and forms and where that underlighting should be,
Yep.
and sort of cover for the mistakes of the learning wet blending.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I have found
And
it to be very forgiving.
when you're talking about the contrast between your peasants and these knights, so the knights, you could very obviously see like big, brighter, bolder colors used on these, where the peasants, everything is kind of like mired in brown and similar ochre tones. But this is very clear differences between each knight, the heraldry, and the saturation of the colors. So that's really, really pleasing to see. I'm not sure whether that's something you aimed for or something you
Mm.
just kind of like had in your background noise when you were painting this, but that really has come out through in your work.
Yeah, yeah. So I've actually spent as long picking the schemes
Oh,
as I
good, good,
have actually
good.
painting them, because each one
Yeah.
needs to be individual. And the
Hmm.
biggest flaw in this unit up to now, and I think it's going to be a unit of 6 eventually, plus the
Hmm.
character on Royal Pegasus. The biggest flaw is that, well, I've got red and black, and then
Hmm.
blue and white, which are obviously the silver and the blacks of heraldry. But then I've got
Hmm.
a red and a blue, and I think that was a mistake, actually. That's something that I'm not going to repaint them, because when I get to the unit of 6, it won't
Hmm.
matter, because it will be such a mishmash anyway. But I do already regret having a blue and a
You
red
could
light.
you could break it up with like white stripes or white patternings on somewhere to break it up if you wanted to.
Yeah, so
But
I was thinking my unit leaders. Can you see
Mm.
this one, Miles?
Give me a sec.
It's like got it's
yeah.
the yellow and black
Mhm.
knight that I did with the hatching. I'm thinking of doing something like that on, as you say, like for anyone that's sort of questing knight or higher, which I imagine the sergeants of any Knights of the Realm units are at least more lord level.
Yeah.
Or, when I say questing knight or higher, is their actual station in Bretonnian society. I'm imagining will have like obviously their heraldry will get more complicated. So yeah, that might be perfect actually for just breaking that up.
Have you watched Barbarian yet?
You know I've not watched Barbarian yet.
I'm not sure if we mentioned this in the show, but we're giving each other like film recommendations because whenever you could kind of trust somebody through their like appreciation film, or if they recommend something to you, I give somebody one chance. They recommend a film to me. If I like it, I'll go on and have other recommendations. My pitch to you is Barbarian. If you like that film, I feel like we could trust each other just that little bit deeper. But there's some great color combinations in Barbarian. That was the tangential point to it. And another little dig saying, just watch Barbarian, bro. Listeners, watch Barbarian as well.
I've let you down. I've let myself down. I've let the listeners and viewers down.
Let Alex down.
Yeah, but do you know what? Barbarian, I have not yet watched. I know someone else that has watched it, and they questioned Miles's sanity that was because also I'm judging you with this. For that to be your one recommendation, that I may never trust you again on a film recommendation.
Good, fine, do it. Watch the film and judge.
Fine. I'll actually watch it. So, what have you been doing, Miles? What have
I been doing? So I have been doing stuff. I haven't left this project barren, even though there hasn't been many updates on the Discord or on social media. I've been thinking, basing has been a bit of a problem with this army, getting it through Games Workshop, getting the right square bases for my army. But I've managed to buy the appropriate bases, and I've started to like organize everything and put it out and lay it out in front of me and make the bases. So I've been making the bases for the entire army. Now, while this doesn't seem like much progress doing it across the entire army, it takes quite a while it takes up all my hobby time to do this. I've been starting to think about the Marauder unit and how I want it like visually to look, and how few models can I get in a unit while maximizing its footprint. So you'll notice in the photos, I've got that werewolf in the back.
Yeah, is that a skin wolf model?
It's a skin wolf, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've got it on the appropriate base for an ogre as well. So if I want to use 3 of them as ogres, I just lift it off, boom, becomes an ogre unit. But if I want to bulk up my marauders, bang, I just whack it in the middle, and it takes the space of like 4 marauders, so it becomes a 4 wound model I can remove. But I've also started thinking in terms of what this marauder unit is. So I've gleefully stolen the idea of using the Space Wolf leather wolf masks from 30k and putting them on my marauders. So the idea, the concept behind this tribe is a little bit like, who's that Dogs of War character? Something Barefoot?
Yeah. No, he's not Barefoot. You're confusing that with my channel.
With you, I'm confusing it with you. Yes, because you turn into a werewolf sometimes. Yeah. What the hell is his name?
I'm going to stop for a sec. Right, so we're back.
Bearstruck.
Bjorg Bearstruck.
Yes, we looked it up. The internet is a blessed thing. Bjorg Bearstruck and the Bearmen of Slow. And this guy, the leader of this Marauder warband, at the height of a battle, he'll turn into a werebear. Boom. And I thought it'd be quite a cool concept to bring into other tribes. So in this tribe, when they go to war, some will be blessed by the Chaos Gods, and they'll turn into their like wolf form, the werewolf form, their furry form. But until then, they wear these masks, and they sharpen their teeth, they file their teeth. And the head, thankfully, fits rather nicely onto the Marauder miniatures that I've bought. So I bought a couple from Warcry, like those kind of bands.
Yeah.
And even though they're from different war bands, I can tie them together with that head. And I depending on how many I get out of this unit, I may buy some more Marauders through the Slaves of Darkness box set. Not quite sure, but the footprint of the miniature of the unit, I wanted to make the footprint look interesting. I wanted a lot of different curves. I wanted a lot of different heights in there to give it visual interest. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had like a dog in the middle of the unit? It takes up 2 spaces, so 2 wounds. I was thinking, okay, perhaps the Marauder Chieftain would have a dog as a companion, or maybe it would be a devolved member of the crew. I'm not sure. But another thing I wanted to introduce was the witch on the corner. So I could either use her as a witch, I could either use her as like a very small level caster, or I could just lump her in with the Marauders, and I can give the feeling that the Marauder unit is a tribe, and that everyone in this unit is a member of the same tribe that's allied with Chaos Warriors, which are from another faction, and give that sense of, I mean, especially in the 90s, I mean, I'm not sure if anybody remembers, like the old Imperial Guard Codex, and the army shot they take. It's not all Catachans, it's not all Mordians. It's a unit of Mordian, it's a unit of Catachans. The old Chaos Warriors from back in the 90s as well. It's a unit of Red Chaos Knights, it's a unit of Black Chaos Warriors. These are different elements united underneath a strong leader. And that's the impression I wanted to give with this unit. Partly, this project inspired because I wanted to do something unique with every miniature. I didn't want to batch paint another army. I didn't want to do things in more of like a heresy style, where you get a bunch of Solar Ox, you get about 80 of them together, and you batch paint them. It's a little bit boring, and it does drag you down. And you just needed like another person alongside you to help you grind through them. I didn't want that for this army. I wanted a collection of individuals instead. So that's
Is that because it's too
thing.
painful to have that other person beside you through painting?
It's
the Solar
agonizing. It's absolutely agonizing. Yes.
Yeah.
Barely spoken all day, no banter.
Yeah, that's because Miles has a guest in the studio at the
Yeah,
moment.
sorry,
So
I'm playing to the gallery a little bit there. Yeah, I'm throwing shade at my guests. So I have a student here at the studio. We're painting like 80 Solar Ox together. We're gonna do a couple of days, try and get through as much as possible on it. But yeah, I couldn't help but doing like a sideways dig because he can't respond right now because we're doing the podcast.
He can respond. We'll just have to sort of amp him up to the level that he explodes.
Yeah, he's looking at me with his cock eye right now. It's so weird. Like I can't tell which way he's looking at me.
Right. So with that, I actually really like how you've gone on with this Marauder unit. It's something having that sort of that the larger beast and the varying height scales in there. That was something. I've got an ogre from Highlands Miniatures that I've had in the middle of my Marauder unit to bulk it out because I only wanted a small amount of foot troops in my Chaos Army. And that, having the ogre in there with the varied height, and I remember reading the Gotrek and Felix books. Which one is it? Beast Slayer, where the army assaults Prague, and it is described as this mismatch horde, and as you say, bound together by a strong leader. And it was something that you said at the start as well, that you wanted war bands alongside their champions.
Exactly, and I think for most other, so if I was dealing with Dark Elves, I don't think this would necessarily work there. But in this, especially in Marauders, to have a unit that looks slightly more chaotic, well, great. If it looks slightly more disorganized, well, great, because that's what they are. They aren't as drilled or as disciplined as, say, Chaos Warriors or Blackguard or like Sword Masters of Holeth. No, this is almost like a family. This is a tribe that's going to war.
The Fast and the Furious.
The Fast and the Furious and the Werewolves.
It's about family.
Yeah. It is about family. Yeah, look at that guy charging forward. I imagine that the little priestess on the corner of the unit is his mother, maybe.
Yeah.
Or an ex.
An ex? That's how she's on the front line.
Yeah. And that's why he's sprinting away from her.
Yes. Now, with that, those are our contributions for, I suppose, what month are we in now? May. We're in May, Jesus.
Unbelievably, yeah.
I know. So let's look at some of the things that our nice viewers and listeners have been doing. And these are just some things that we sort of pulled out, not at random, but just ones that caught our eye.
Yeah, definitely.
So the first one that we've got is the Legion painter on Instagram with the Emperor's children, and actually he brought these to Melos last month, which was the 30k event that I ran. And they just really stood out. He got a painting award for these, actually. And I think one of your students as well, Miles.
He is, yeah. So he, this was allied with his Sons of Horus, right? So the Emperor's Children component, and which works so well together because you have this bright, flashy purple alongside the more dull, militaristic style of the Sons of Horus. The contrast works. Individually, they work. Great basing. I mean, it's everything you want from a project, right? Good painting, good basing, good theme, good everything.
Next, we've got, and this is one that has actually caught my eye a few times, is Brod 1157 off this guard with the cream Chaos Warriors. And it's a scheme that I've seen in a couple of places, is the cream. And every time it's caught my eye, but this one is, I think, a really well done like version of that scheme in addition to the actual color selection.
I think with alongside the magenta, which is such a saturated, bold color with the bone, weirdly enough, in the old second edition, I think it was the third edition Dark Elder Codex. One of my favorite schemes was a bone Dark Elder scheme, with sort of like red secondary colors. Because the sculpt is so good. Like, I love the old Dark Elder sculpt, but the sculpt is so good here. Having a lighter scheme shows it off better, rather than what we associate with Chaos Warriors, like lots of black, lots of metal, lots of death, lots of grrr. But having the bone, I think, just accentuates the gorgeousness of the sculpt. And then you have that flash of magenta there to frame it. The basing looks freaking great on it. You have like the coolness of the base with some very, very elegant tufts on there. It just works. Just everything works together with it.
So we've got Izzy Naturi's orc, and he's orange orc, weird boy, which I think suits really well.
It's so good, isn't it? I love seeing orcs in different color palettes, like different skin tones. Okay, the technical details of the skin, amazing. Color choice, amazing. But can we take a moment to appreciate the smokestack coming off the top and just how well done that is?
Yeah, it's got all of the it's sort of reversed smoke, isn't it? As well.
Light on the inside, dark on the outside. Yeah.
And with really good contrast to the skin, and which I know now because you made me buy a colour wheel, Miles.
I made you buy a colour wheel.
I now know that is good colour selection. But yeah,
it is.
I
It's a complementary colour scheme.
Yes. But I do really like seeing the
next.
weird, like the weird colour schemes for the skin of orcs, trolls, to get a bit more pop into the army rather than just having like various shades of green as the orc gets older.
Yeah. It's really well done as well. It's a really well done paint job.
Yeah, down to even like the glow of the eyes contrasting directly with the skin. The shards of, like, what is it? Blue rocky glass? Yeah,
no idea what it is. But the shards of blue around his waist. Yeah, it just frames the miniature so well. Yeah. No, really good color selection, technically well done. Interesting piece. What more can you want from a character model?
Yeah. Next, we have the Dark Elf Dual Wielder. Well, or do you know this specific model?
It's a Witch Elf model. It's just a baseline infantry Witch Elf. Yeah. But it's been so well painted. It's been so well done. It looks like a character. Again, great color selection. You have this dark blood red, leaning more on the cooler side. You have the swords that have been done in that Mark Gibbons-esque artwork style with the flash of light on the outside and the matte black on the inside. This pale white skin, this milky white skin. I got a bit of a thing for dark elves anyway. As a 12-year-old, looking at the front cover of the 5th edition army book, where you had a witch elf, a wizardess behind her, a sorceress, and then a dude riding around on a dinosaur. there's a lot for a 12-year-old boy to get interested in there, and this model is reviving my interest certainly in that. Yeah, just phenomenal work.
And finally, we've got Dave the 13th's spiders or spider riders.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, the
Ragnarok.
Arachnarok, which I just really liked
Mhm.
again for the color selection, and it's like
Big
similar
spider,
color
yeah.
selections for
Mhm.
the Weird Boy that we've just seen,
Mhm.
and just really good sort of vibrant greens
Yeah.
along with the feelers, the spider
The
feeler
fangs
things.
at the front. Yeah.
Fangs, words.
I mean,
fail me.
it's so easy for those bits to get lost in the overall composition. But it's a really nice move. He's made the like fangs magenta, and he's mirrored that in some of the orc headdresses up above. So like visually, it's tied together. I'm not sure whether he meant to do that or not, but it's a really nice move.
Well, if it's unconscious, it just means he's such an expert at the color wheel, color theory.
Exactly. He's good at color. Yeah.
I bet he doesn't
And
even need a wheel.
He does. He absolutely doesn't. He's just got it. He's got it imprinted in his mind.
Yes. Yeah, but those are the selections that we've picked for today, which was sort of just a hopefully a good little update and on for everyone to be painting their fantasy armies.
I mean, if you're coming to this for the first time as well, I've had a couple of students ask like, how do I join in? Well, join up in the Patreon, completely free. Pledge what you're willing to paint. So, for example, I put something like 2,400 points of old world points, so like an army basically.
Pledge you mean
what
the
you want to
Discord,
paint.
not the Patreon, don't you?
Discord, yeah. Sorry,
yes.
The Discord. Sorry, sign up for the Discord. Completely free. Pledge what you want to put, and then every month try and hit those goals. So every month we do create a pledge for people to head towards. It's not binding. This is more of like a gentle encouragement. If you can do it, great. If you can't, even if you just limp along like I've been doing with the bases, that's absolutely fine, because for every base that you do, for every 10 minutes that you can scratch here and there, it will build towards an army towards the end of it. And it's a nice of just gentle encouragement in that place. It's not a place of hard deadlines and people heckling each other. It's gentle encouragement to keep this ball rolling on developing an old world project or a fantasy-esque themed project.
Yeah.
One of our students, so one of the Discord members, is painting a Blood Bowl team instead of painting an army. We have another student in there who is painting a Night Gaunt army, something that is fantasy-esque themed or based. Everybody's welcome. If you don't want to join in the Discord, but you still want to join in the challenge, what the hell is wrong with you? But make sure you hashtag all your work with Hobby Hammer, and then we'll be able to find you on social media. So that hashtag is starting to pick up a little bit of momentum now, thankfully, finally, on Instagram. And we are hoping every month to have a little bit of a deep delve into that to see what people are doing outside in the wider community as well. But if you do want to join in at the very base, whatever you post up, hashtag Hobby Hammer, and we will track it down.
We've got actually in the next segment some of the new previews that came out in the last week, because actually there was one in particular that excited us both greatly.
Yes. Is it the same one? Okay, let's say on the count of three. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Necromunda.
Yeah.
Oh, it is good. Okay, I'm glad we synced.
And neither of us purposefully said something wrong on purpose.
No, I was thinking about doing like the sideways jaunt, like, oh, the Adeptus Sororitas. No, I don't want to be. I don't want to be that kind of cast.
But we did that last time, I think.
Yeah. Oh, did we?
Yeah. But anyway, in the Necromunda box that's just been announced, it takes us to High Secundus, where basically Gene Stealer experiments results in Gene Stealer infestation. Who knew? And then he's just like sort of played out storyline, right? But it's the best. It's the best. It's sort of like
it is the best storyline. Yeah, it really is.
Like who? Oh my god! They didn't see it coming, because the Imperium is perpetually like the first 10 minutes of a movie, where like everyone's making the mistakes, like they don't know what a zombie is yet. They're taking the alien
I can
life
kind
form
of
to the
appreciate that
planet.
because of how ruthlessly they suppress information, even like basic information. So perhaps you do get a bunch of mad scientists running around the galaxy trying to figure stuff out for the first time. I I can forgive them for that.
You
It's the
sold it to me.
Inquisition's
You
fault.
sold it to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's basically it takes place in Hive Secundus, where you get Vansar Archaeotech hunters,
Mm-hmm.
Spirers, a return of the Spirers, which I'm sure they
That's
said
the
they weren't
big
going to
one.
do. I'd swear
Oh,
down that they said they weren't going to do it, and I'm not mad at
maybe
it. I'm not mad at it at
yeah,
all.
maybe like a Weekender years ago. Maybe they said
Yeah,
that
yeah,
because
that sort of style.
yeah, that's kind of style information. Yeah.
And Gene
I mean,
Stealer colours.
should we talk about the Spirers? What do you think about the new design of the? Because with this preview, we've seen the Horus, but since then we've seen the rest of the designs, the Jakara, I think it's called, the dude with the wings, and the Predator versions. So what do you think of the designs of the Horus that are available in the box set?
I really like them. So they've got a slightly Vansar aesthetic, which at
Mm-hmm.
first I was like, oh, it's weird that they're super allied with Vansar. No, it
Yeah.
it then like sort of unfolded in my brain, and I was like, I actually really like them having like a Vansar-esque aesthetic, because of course they're going to be buying their war suits off Vansar, who make really good war suits. They're going to be buying
Uh-huh.
their stims off Escher because Escher make the stims. They're going to get all
Mm-hmm.
of their raw materials that they need to make that stuff off the Orlocks and Goliaths after smelt. Do you know what? They are the cream of the crop with the best gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it
I
suits them, I think, really well. And I
I
think it's
really appreciate that they've moved away from the original design. We all love the original design. We all love
let me pull
everything
up
done
the
in the
original design. So
yeah.
here they are. I have just said we was about to have an off, just like a random
Yeah.
chat on it. I said they look so fucking derpy. It's untrue. The
They
old
do.
Spirers.
Absolutely. But when you're a child seeing this miniature for the first time, you don't analyze the sculpt. You don't see the sculpt. You see the artwork that's in the book. You see what they are in your imagination and how they interact with the world. And then you kind of superimpose that image on these miniatures. So when I look at this miniature, I have very fond memories, even though I could fully appreciate in the cold light of day, yet they're derpy as hell. They look like WWE wrestlers, just patching stuff together. It's sort of like they're the WWE wrestler who auditioned as a bit and failed to get through. So I really appreciate that they've taken the core of the design, big, bulky dude in an armor suit mowing people down, and then they've reimagined it, updated it, and made it somewhat believable, somewhat workable within this universe. I really appreciate that they've taken the core of the design, the core of the emphasis of the design, and updated it. And I really like these new designs. I'm a bit. I go back and forth on whether I like the color scheme or not. I do like the metallic sheen to it. I do like the color shift effect. But the sculptor of this, he's on Instagram, and he wrote a little piece about these, talking about he didn't imagine these in these colors. Instead, he'd imagine them in their house colors, almost in bespoke heraldry, and that they would be representing themselves. So I'd love to get my hands on these. I'd love to chat with the sculptor and talk about his original vision of what heraldry and how he imagined the color scheme to be, and maybe try that out on these. But yeah, I fully agree with you. They have the best of the best that the Hive could produce. So it's no wonder that their suit echoes the design choices of the other houses. And I'm really super duper pleased that they have what's you call one of those demonic angel babies alongside them.
It's underneath Carotid Prime.
Oh, carotid, yes.
Carotid.
I'm super happy we get one of those. And again, the sculptor said that he didn't design them with the swirls in them. Instead, he wanted to allow the painter to go ahead and do that. So again, another painting challenge out there for us. Yeah, really like these sculpts. These sculpts bang for me.
Yeah, do you know what? I like these, I really like these. What
Mm.
I'm most excited about are the Gene Stealers.
Okay, let's talk Gene Stealers. Okay, before we do that, the Vansar Archaeotech Hunters, good upgrade.
Yeah, I
Good.
really like Van Sard, the aesthetic.
Yeah, good.
It's more of what we've. There's nothing like mind blowing
Yeah,
within these new
agreed.
sculpts, but I don't think
So
there could have been if it's still Van Sard.
we could give a solid thumbs up. Let's talk about Gene Stealers.
Yes, yeah. Now the Gene Stealers, I'm excited about because it's a look into sort of a different world from what Necromunda usually looks at.
Yep.
So having the Gene Stealers and how being on this, being through a gravity implosion, I think is because they've had like graviton nukes sent at them,
right,
and had experiments on them by the Magos biologist. I can't speak today,
late.
Miles.
It's pretty late at night, guys, so forgive us. I've drunk a lot of Campari at this point. If you've seen me drinking out of a pickle jar and you're a little bit weirded out, it's
paint water.
I'm not paying for a jar. I've bought pickles already. I will use this as my drinking instrument. I'm drinking Campari out of it.
Yeah, I was drinking out of a vase earlier today, actually. So I didn't
A
realize
vase?
it was
Why are you drinking out of a vase?
Because it was a receptacle that could hold like Vimto, and I didn't realize it was a vase because it was near the cup. It was like just on the side after being washed, and I was drinking out of it, and Emma was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Oh, like I'm drinking out. I thought it was like a jug, like a decanter that you could fill up with something.
Seriously,
so just like,
stop the cast. Are you okay? Do you want to talk?
Yeah, fine. There wasn't like any poisonous like plant food in there or MCAT or something like that. So it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, the Gene Stealers experimented by the
Gene Stealers.
the Magus biologists. So they've got the weird sort of like sickly look to them.
Sunken, unhealthy look.
Yeah.
I've had this thing for ages that I want to do a Gene Stealer gang, but what if the Gene Stealer reproduction process, like the really freaky reproduction process they have, what if it goes wrong? Because you're in this irradiated, hellish landscape in Necromunda. What if something in the atmosphere, and they cycle through reproduction, but each generation it just gets more malnourished and more destroyed over the generations. That's what these remind me of. They look like Gene Stealers, but they haven't quite fully formed. They haven't formed right. I mean, even in the article, they talk about like the hive fleets will not recognize these because they haven't formed healthily.
Yeah, and it's just a really nice aesthetic for them to have gone with, rather than having say like pure strain Gene Stealers on Necromunda, which maybe wouldn't, if they take over a hive city, wouldn't have fit to be there, even with like a regiment.
And they're pretty powerful.
Yeah,
they're pretty powerful, like pure strain Gene Stealers.
Yeah, they can take down Terminators, right, in Space Hulk. They just like rip
exactly.
Through them.
Yeah, it's nice that they've shown a little bit of effort with this as well. They haven't just recycled an older kit and whacked in here, which they could have so easily done. No, they took the time to develop these. I think they play on more of like a horror aspect, especially in like Hive Secundus, this creature from the darkness, this sunken, emaciated thing, and Enslavers. We got those little puffy dudes. We got little puffy Enslavers.
Is
or
it actually an Enslaver?
I don't think it's actually Enslaver, but it's inspired by, I guess.
Yeah, surely inspired by at minimum. Now,
yes.
What I'm wondering is how they're going to deal with it in game. Like, of this entire set, how are they going to play off the three factions against each other? Will it just be like in addition to the models? Will it just be like a normal campaign where you get all these other gangs, or are we going to get to see a self-contained campaign within this?
Yeah,
like
just using these.
Yeah, because that'd be. I think both would be really interesting choices. Because we've already seen like a fall campaign in the Ruination book.
Yeah,
a while ago.
How well it sells, maybe if it's a big gangbuster, they might produce upgrade kits for all the other gangs, or it might be just like a standalone I really don't know. I'd be happier with more stuff. I mean, obviously, and they maybe. I mean, they mentioned a patriarch in this. It'd be interested to see a Gene Stealer patriarch done in this style, slightly more emaciated, worn, weathered. Um, I, I think the only. Oh, no, it's not underwhelming. It's not underwhelming at all. No, because I really like the upgrade kit that they've put for the scum.
Yes.
But I think, sorry, they'd have a lot more interesting of a gang if they put those heads and upgrade bits on like the Cowdo set.
So long as that's sold as a separate sprue or resin upgrades or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That is surely something we could do anyway, because there's already rules for Gene Stealer infested gangs in Necromunda.
Yeah.
So you can already do that to any gang.
Mm.
I think this just might be a kit that they've gone particularly well with. Do you know, like, as an aesthetic choice, because it's so ragtag, rather than having to.
Like, I'm thinking more like Doomsday Cult with these guys. But I can't say it's because I like the kit, I like the upgrade kits. It's just, I in my head, you know, when you get an idea in your head and it doesn't quite fit, like, oh no, this isn't as good as it could have been. Like, that's nonsense. No, you could just easily buy a Cowdo set and do your own thing.
But that's, I think, always one of the reasons why I don't want to see an Iron Warriors Praetor ever, because what is in my head will never be fulfilled by what is produced. I think
it's not going to be a Pollux.
It's not even. Nothing would live. I don't think if you sit down and have been into a certain legion, or say you've been thinking about this Gene Stealer idea for a while, you will have this idea in your head that can never be fulfilled. So, do you know, like, to the level of what is in your head, because it's a personal idea on what it should be, and I think it's like, it might be like that. And my thing always comes back to like Iron Warriors Praetor or Iron Havocs. Still waiting on them Iron Havocs from Book 3 Games Workshop. But
they'd never live up to. Okay, so a big sidetrack here. You're in charge of producing the Iron Warrior Praetor. What would you want to see from that kit?
Exactly what I converted for my Iron Warriors Praetor.
Exactly what you converted for your
like, because I think that's one of the joys of converting, right? Is that you are making something that is in your head, and so long as that's realized to a sufficient degree, you can fill in the blanks of what you wanted to see anyway. Whether or not this scum fitted in with your exact image in your head.
That's the thing. I had an image in my head. They didn't live up to it. I think that's where a lot of like criticism and like online commentary goes slightly awry. Just because it's not exactly what you want doesn't make it bad. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it doesn't make the kit bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Like, maybe putting these heads on Cawdor, as you said, or say like Vansar are very sickly, Orlocks are out in the waste and get ambushed by Gene Stealer cults all the time, along with the mining crews. And like, these heads, I think, would work on all of those.
Ashwaste Nomads, I think it would work well on as well.
Because he's that like a weird, like, sort of Outlander look,
ragman look.
Yeah, exactly.
Homeless vagrant.
It's, I think, a successful tease. Hopefully they don't tease it for too long. And also,
very successful. I can't wait to get my hands on this.
Did you notice the ruined ZM that's in the background? So there aren't currently any ruined ZM tiles that I know of.
Oh, okay, right.
What number picture is this down? It's
I'm not. Yeah, it's
it's
like
the
picture stage
down,
photograph,
including the video. There's ruined ZM tiles there with battle damage. Which is interesting. Awesome. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's already in one of the kits, but that isn't something I don't think it is, I can remember having seen. So maybe we're going to get like a revamping or additional tiles for the ZM, which is
that's awesome.
A cool choice.
Yeah, more terrain. I mean, more of anything along this line. Like, it's an engaging setting. I like dungeon crawlers like this. almost like Dark Tide-esque, small elite unit against the Horde, trying to get in, get out before they noticed. Yeah, this box set just has me written all over it. Love it.
Well,
Absolutely love it.
Wellity, I'm going to rope you into this online then.
Ooh.
Because you mentioned when we saw these previews initially,
Yes.
you might want to do something to it.
Yes, I want to run a little hobby challenge. So we did one at the start of the year with your Ultramarines, trying to paint 5K in one weekend. I want to run a similar thing with the Necromunda box set. So I want to get the team together. I want to get the gang together. Depending on the date of this release, we'll have at least 3 of us here, hopefully all 4, and I'll be painting this box set in one weekend. And depending
in one day.
In one day. Oh, I thought we were going for the weekend.
No,
oh my god. Okay,
one day. And the second
one
day we play
one box set, 4
games.
hobbyists. Right. Okay. Brill.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is a challenge. Paint the entire box set in one day. Play the campaign or play a couple of campaign games on the second day. Yes, that is the challenge. That's the gauntlet.
So I think we both. What are you interested in? Which faction? Spirers.
I would love a crack at the Horus. Yep. I would love a go the Genes. There's a lot to be. Probably my least favorite would be the Van Saar, but not because I don't want to do them. It's because they're the bottom of a very strong group. But probably gun to head Horus of the Spirers. Yeah.
I'm sure we can wangle something out of that then.
We'll mud wrestle to establish dominance at the start of the weekend.
No, KY Jelly wrestle. KY Jelly.
KY Jelly. I've got the facility. I've got the KY.
We have the capabilities.
We got the capabilities. Yeah, let's rumble. Let's do it. Let's film it. 4K. Right.
So next one, we have 30K preview, which is the Mechanicum. We've got Thralls, Atriaros, Thalax, Castellax, and the Thanatar.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you said all that.
In what, like knowing all the names?
I'm not 100% familiar with the units here, so I'm glad you rattled through them. Yes. Okay. Updates again. Now I waxed lyrical at the beginning of taking the core concept and modernizing and updating it. I really appreciate what they've done with this box set. Is that they've taken the core concept and they've translated it nearly 1 for 1. So the Thalax, is it those big robots?
What right. So
they're called
which
Castellax.
The Castellax.
Sorry,
the Robbie the robots.
Yes.
Nearly
1-to-1 from the resin kit. Win. Great kit to begin with. Perfect. Let's talk about some of the changes that have been made on the smaller robots. What the hell are they called?
Thalax. That's the
Thalax. Okay, great. On the Thalax, they seem slightly bulkier.
Yeah, now this is something that we saw in the Mark 6s as well in some of the pictures, especially the heavy weapon Marines appeared much broader. And I don't know whether that's just like an optical illusion of some of the photography.
Now, it might be because they've been cast in plastic rather than resin as well. They necessarily had to bulk out the kit for production purposes.
Potentially, I'm not against it. I'm definitely not against it, like having happened.
I mean, dare I say this? I actually prefer the slightly bulkier version over the resin version.
You can say that.
I actually prefer these. Yeah.
There won't be any like screaming on this cast about them getting slightly bigger.
But yeah. Alternate heads as well. Always a plus.
Yeah. I am a big fan of the old Castellax head, especially when people do stuff like paint skulls inside them and stuff like that. It looks fabulous.
Yeah.
The new heads, all right. Like they look decent. Some people might love them.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing to me is the legs, though.
Right. Okay. What's up with the legs?
There's nothing up with the legs. I don't think there's that many poses. That's always been a problem of Thalax. Hopefully I'm wrong and we'll get a bit more movement available at the knee joint.
Yeah. Okay, I can
not
see
many
that
poses,
as being a valid,
but also
valid crit.
It won't snap all the time like current Thalax do. Because I mean, current Thalax they are the snappiest thing outside of Castellax arms. Like Castellax
Right.
arms, Thalax legs, all
Yeah.
the time. Anytime I take my Mechanicum army anywhere, they all break. They all break. And it's not even like, it's the one
Yeah.
army that I don't just like sweep off a table into a box without putting it in foam or anything.
Right.
Like, honestly, how I transport my army miles would make you cry. Except for the Mechanicum, I take real good care of them, but they still break.
Okay.
They still break.
Yeah. It's a bit like the Krieg, like gorgeous miniatures, but those glass cannons snap just by looking at them. Funny.
Yeah.
But bulked up plastic. I've never had a huge problem with how monopose that these kits are, because I've always quite liked the idea of them being
in
what's
unison
the word?
and in sync.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and almost like awkwardly, a bit like watching we see robots now walking across the stage, or like an AI dog walking across the stage. It's that unnatural, ungainly. You kind of feel like they're going to fall over in the next movement.
You see, now I'm imagining like sort of, do you know the very early Wallace and Gromit stop motions where it's like it's just a bit jerky on all of their motions? That's what I'm imagining the Thalax doing as they're walking across. Maybe that's why they need jump packs, is that they just all stop motion to properly walk.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, I think a big upgrade from the set are the zombies. What the hell are they called?
They are tech thralls. They are fabulous. I think this is the one which has got a new design aesthetic. I think in the old one, they're like pretty well redesigned within this, rather than everything else,
fantastic.
which are pretty much carbon copies. And they look absolutely excellent. Hopefully, in any redo of the Mechanicum book, they get good rules, because I'm predicting no one buys any of these, because like very minor amount of painters that do it for the love, but anyone on the gaming side, I think
this will be very popular in Inquisitor 28 circles. This is going to be very popular for anybody doing a servitor conversion. I hope that they are a damn sight cheaper monetarily than the old tech thralls, because you can easily bankrupt yourself buying those for an army.
You're dreaming. They're going to be.
Yeah.
I predict. Do you know what?
3 times as much.
I predict £28 for 10 at most.
£28 for 10.
Yeah, maybe that's too cheap.
You think they'd round up to a cool 30?
No, I think they'll go like a random number. I think it won't be 30. It'd be like I don't think they ever price things at like 31, but I think it'd be like 28, 32, 34.
Right.
Like some even number, but it won't be exactly spot on 30. Price prediction.
Or you might get them in like a box of 20, like you do Space Marines now. Box of 20.
No,
what are they, like 50 quid?
They can just make you buy 2. Oh yeah, maybe like that. Yeah, 50 quid box of 20. I don't think it'd be a cheap box of 20.
No. It would be 20 for 28 quid. No. That would be that. Even my wildest dreams, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the tank.
Did you want to move on from the tech thralls? Yeah. You see, I just wanted to say the jerkiness of the poses when you were saying about the Thalax. These are ones as well that I think they've really captured. Like, because all their movements are generated by shocks. So I think they've got the real like sort of Frankenstein. They control direct.
Really cool.
A lot of variants in tech thrall lore, but they can be controlled directly by the Magos. So I think they've really captured it with. They've got some very zombie style poses in the hands, which I think is really cool. But sorry, go on. Let's move on to what you.
Do you watch the beginning of Hell's Reach, the YouTube movie that was done?
Yeah,
years ago. There's a servitor in that walking along, very similar to this. I always imagine, since seeing that, like, of course, that's what a servitor would look like. And they've captured the movement of this great in these miniatures. Sorry, tank. Yes, tank win. Great. Let's move on.
Great. It looks the same as before, and that was pretty good.
Yes.
Next.
And that was good. Big robot. Okay, what can we say about this?
Looks the same as before. It doesn't look like it doesn't look as snappy.
But the gun looks like it's blooming out. I quite like that.
Couldn't you always bloom the gun.
I have no idea. I've only assembled one of these.
Yeah, I think you could always bloom the gun.
Oh, really? Okay,
Unless
so it's
people
exactly the
converted
same
it
as
to
the
be
old
like
one.
that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember
Okay, great.
actually, Dave Walker, the Legion painter, did his Thanatar with bloomy guns.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Vividly
Perhaps it's just
remembering.
me then. I've only painted one, and that was when it first came out. God knows how long ago. Okay, but big robot, good. Little robot, good. Littler robots, good. Littlest thralls, excellent.
Magos.
Tank, good. Magos, oh, this is the only miss for me in the box set.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I
don't know
think
whether
they want to make it seem like he's sitting on a throne that's kind of like scuttling along, but the pose just, or even, are they even go?
Could
it just looks like a really might well be. It could be the picture when you get it in hand. It looks a lot better. But I'm not so upset by this because the Mechanicus range are absolutely blessed with a dearth of amazing character miniatures. So you don't like this, no fuss, no muss. You just buy that floating fat guy with his two fingers up in the air. You buy the old Magos. You have options here.
Yeah, agreed. Do you know, like, even there's so many people doing fabulous conversions with like Domitar bodies, Thalax, like all sorts, and it's one of the spaces that you can truly go wild is with a Magos. So, as you say,
and he doesn't come in the box set in the special box that they're producing. So if you even don't like him there, fine.
It's like they know no one wants him.
Yeah, you never have to purchase this miniature. Great.
Do you know what? There's at the bottom. There's a preview on the Keep Reading for the Astra Militarum old model of the Lord Solar Leonidas. Perfect Magos fodder. The guy on horse. Onwards, Felicity.
Uses a Magos.
Yeah, man, like a giant stupid robot horse. What is more grim derp than that?
Making it a centaur.
Yes, perfect. You still need the horse body, so I'm still going to claim.
You still need the horse. Yes, vital component of this soup, the horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it'd stand out and be too ridiculous, which is good.
Yeah.
Now,
but yeah, the box set, great.
Yeah.
Mechanical.
We have talked about that quite a lot, and I think one of the key things there is it's stuff that we've both seen before, but we've still talked about it quite a lot, especially the tech thrills. So next we've got Tallarn and Miles. Are you on? Have you sworn that you'll say good things about this by JP, or are you free to speak your actual mind?
I am not bound by any contractual agreement by JP whatsoever. I can really lean into this. You ready for my opinion on this?
Right, go on.
It looks like a decidedly okay product. The tanks look like they do. The upscale versions, they've been scaled down.
Yes.
Tallarn is a cool background. It's a very when you think of the heresy, you think of, I mean, when top 3 engagements, top 3 wars that have ever happened, top 3 engagements in the heresy, Istvan, Terror, and Tallarn always comes up for me. It's one of those things you kept reading about as a kid. A great book in the Black Library series by John French. To hell with it. Let's be brutally honest. The standard writing in the heresy books haven't been the most engaging. Beta Garment doesn't have the most engaging narrative to it, especially. And I'm boring myself with this. I'm so sorry for repeating the same point. When you compare it to the earlier stuff, I know, living in the past, member berries.
Are we talking novels? Or are we talking big books?
Black books,
right?
Black books, yeah. I didn't find Beta Garment particularly engaging. I found it a bit of a struggle to read in parts. It felt very flimsy for a sector-wide engagement that has such a storied history that could have been so much more than it was. I'm sorry if you did like that book. My own personal opinion, I'm always putting it forward here. The previous Titanicus books, I've loved the color plates I don't really read the rules because I haven't played the game. I'm not really into the game. But the fluff sections I tend to skip now because they don't hold my attention.
Mm.
Again, if you love that stuff, great. It's not assault towards you. It's just my own personal opinions I'm putting forward here. So when I see this Tallarn book, I don't play the game. I'm not engaged by the fluff. The color plates are great, but would I want to buy an expensive book just for the color plates? And I'm not so sure. I don't know what your level of engagement with Imperialis has been, or is, or will be. I mean, what's your take on this?
So I've played sort of like 10, 11 games of
Yeah.
Imperialis because I already had an epic army that I was getting ready to play epic with on the channel. I've not, that needed expanding, so I've not played many games of Imperialis on the channel.
Yeah.
I very much like, it's a good game.
Yeah.
I've not played since The Great Slaughter came out, so I've not yet played that one. I've not got the book yet because I've not had time with doing the old world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I will be picking up Tallarn because massive Iron Warriors fan, obvious.
Yeah.
So do you know, like, it'd be silly not to for me, even if it was just for the fluff, because I just want to know what goes on in Tallarn more. So I am passingly excited about it. That it's
good. I'd hate for my thing to track from anybody's genuine excitement for this. I don't want to be a killjoy at all. If
I will flip that on its head though, Miles, before you get through the entire sentence.
Okay.
I entirely agree with you on that sort of the book review side of it. I've not read any of the background for the books since, oh god, it must be like book 7. I read Inferno.
Right. Okay.
So I didn't read 8 or 9. And then these I've started reading slight bits of them, like Siege of Cathonia. I read like a couple of paragraphs and was like, nope. And it's just, as you say, I don't think it's to the same level. Whether or not that is like gilded, like rose tinted spectacles.
Yeah, it could well be.
That is like, oh, they were in leather and bound, you know, like bound in a different way. It was so much better in the past. Whether it's more of that and I should just get on with it. I don't know. I will be reading it. I'll let you know how the read was.
Yeah.
Because I'll be reading this one either way because it's just so directly tied to what
direct enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. If it was like, oh, here's some Blood Angel stuff, I'd have to get my new secondhand off you because I'm in that same camp as you. But they just got me with this particular book.
Yeah, and it's one of those engagements with a storied history, has a lot of information. It would be nice to see like a technical breakdown of this conflict almost. So I've been watching there's this guy on YouTube, Yanovich. Like, God, I hope he doesn't do anything like freaky on Discord, or like he says a bunch of racist stuff, or he's like a homophobe. I really hope he's not, because I really enjoy his content on YouTube, but I don't know much about the guy. But he's been covering the Siege of Rax, and the level of detail that's in that conflict and the way he's able to bring that to life. I mean, of course, I've read the books, but then again, seeing it visually is another thing. And just tracing the fortunes of war from both sides, the ebb and flow of the conflict, the characters, the overarching political, everything about that conflict. I feel like I have a very full understanding of that. I hope we get something of that in Tallarn. I hope we get something of the context of the wider war, why Tallarn was such a linchpin, why it was such a big conflict, why it had the most tank battles of any one engagement in Imperial history. I hope we get the wider narrative, the context. I really hope that they hit this. I feel like it needs it.
I'm willing to keep my mind open and try it out properly. So I'll give an honest review when it comes out.
All right.
Okay. The game wise, it's not the most balanced game, but if anyone's not tried it,
what game is balanced?
Yeah, well, this is it. It's like I don't think there's ever been a golden era. Like people look back and like, oh, 3rd edition 40k, that was really good. Yeah, but it was super broken. Like
it's
it
a
was
myth.
just
Every
wild.
edition has had its problems. Every edition,
Yeah, and this is another one. It's not the most balanced, but it's
is it
super
engaging
fun to
though?
play.
Do you enjoy playing
yeah.
it?
It's a
Okay, great.
brilliant
That's
game
all you
to play.
need.
And it's
That's all you
sorted
need.
out. If you liked Old Epic, it's got a lot of quality of life improvements that makes it a modern game. Is what I would say. Yeah,
good. Yeah, it's just a shame that the release was bundled, because there's like a lot of enthusiasm going into this game. I know you can buy the stuff now, but I mean, Old World came out so hard on its heels. It barely felt like this game had room to breathe and become its own thing and embed itself within the community before, bang, Old World came out and just smashed it. Smashed it with Old World
I
release.
think that's been a big shame for it actually, because if it had come out in the September release,
in this original
we
slot,
would have all had armies done by the time Old World came out, and then it could have just been this concurrent game.
Old World
gaming interest would have dropped off a little bit as Old World came out, but you could go back to it and dip into it. Whereas even like someone that actively wants to play it, and I've got an army sat in the other room, I've just got no time to paint that army, so therefore I can't play it because I have to paint it to play on channel. So yeah, it's a shame. I will go back to it and cover it on the channel, but we'll see.
Coming soon.
Yeah, soon.
Coming soon. Soon.
Always soon. Yeah, and that's. I think. Was there any other previews that you wanted to go over, Miles?
I mean, the AOS was pretty extensive. It's just I don't have a bunch of like skin in that game, and it's stuff that we've seen before. That we had a Gene Stealer Beneficatus dude with a big brain that looked good, looked great, good conversion fodder for Inquisitor 28 players. And then we had an Adeptus Sororitas Canonus Reigns. Oh no. Rains Faith and Fire from the Heavens. So we have a new Canoness with a jump pack, which again looks.
Oh, is that all it was?
She looks a bit like a flying nun, which I guess is exactly what she is. Yeah, she doesn't look like that. She is that.
Both of those weapons though for a terrifying two-handed weapon, also known as an eviscerator. Now, here's one. On the Tallarn Legion Imperialis preview, they called the Iron Warriors Iron Hands.
And there are quite a few typos in these articles.
There
are.
Surely you know a two-handed weapon, chainsword weapon. What's it called, Miles?
An eviscerator.
An eviscerator. They should know.
Did I win?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm expecting too much that the media team knows what the weapons are called. But
I mean, they're writing like 5 articles a day.
But surely there's like a team, and you'd have like, here's a 40k really versed person. Here's a 30k.
Dude,
really
this was written by ChatGPT. Well, what the hell is? Okay, disclaimer. I don't know if I'm sure they employ someone. Please don't send me any more letters, Games Workshop. Please don't try and sue me.
Yeah, but yeah, that is, I think, our coverage of the previews.
Yeah,
it's some good previews.
All good. And I'm tentatively I'm tentatively optimistic that you enjoy Tallarn.
Thanks, Miles.
Jesus,
thanks. But I think let's leave it there because neither of us can speak, and I'm struggling to think. So
yeah, #HobbyHammer.
Yeah.
Outie 5000.
In a bit.